Hello, everyone. This is Rebecca Greene for the Whiny Palooza podcast, and I am super excited today because I get to talk to the fantastic Stephanie Kwong. Stephanie, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Rebecca, thank you for having me. I'm really excited for our conversation.
Everyone's going to love you. This topic is amazing. Let me tell you why you're going to love her as much as I do. Stephanie is the co-founder and CEO of the Rapid Rewire Method and the founder of StephanieKwong.com, a subconscious reprogramming expert, transformational coach, and hypnotherapist. Stephanie empowers high achievers to remove mental and emotional blocks so they can experience more success, peace, and fulfillment. With over a decade of experience in personal growth and mind mastery, her work blends neuroscience, subconscious reprogramming, and energy healing for deep, lasting transformation. So now everyone knows why I am so freaking excited to talk to you. I love this stuff. I mean, I can't believe all that you're doing. I mean, that was a jam-packed way to introduce you of all of your skills. But I want to know, like, what inspired you to start doing this transformational work?
Oh, wow. So I had a pretty challenging childhood.
Mm,
Yeah. And I wouldn't change it for the world because it's what made me who I am. Right. And because of having a challenging childhood and the core wounds that I think are actually quite common that people have of feeling unworthy, unlovable, not enough, etc., especially in the Chinese culture, the goal and intention is to have you be successful, right? And success equals money or status, and then you will be happy. And that's just what runs through my culture. So it's not that
yeah.
my parents, did anything wrong. They were indoctrinated into that mindset already.
Right.
But then I did too, but how it comes off feels hypercritical, judgmental, controlling, and more.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so with these core wounds that I had, at a really young age, Rebecca, I just feel so fortunate that my mom started doing personal work as well. She had a very traumatic childhood, way more than mine. I mean, she was abandoned in China when she was 5 years old to essentially fend
Oh,
for herself. Yeah. So that is really difficult, way more than what I endured. But I also know we can't minimize our own experiences, even if somebody else has had something more challenging. However, I feel so grateful that I have a mother that was so devoted to her own personal growth that I grew up listening to Tony Robbins on tape in my house.
wow.
Bought his tapes off of his infomercial, how Tony started, right? Way back in the day.
Yeah.
And she would play his tapes, and I would hear his booming voice in the house, listening to how to unleash the power within. And so I was already being imprinted with that there's another way
Mm,
versus a way that I'd been taught or conditioned into. And so that planted the seed. And I think there's always been a part of me that has wanted to seek growth. My soul is that type of soul that values growth, has been a constant seeker of my own evolution of my consciousness, and really to transcend the challenges that I've had to endure, the limitations that I've created from misinterpretations of past events as a kid, or the limitations that society, just listening to people I looked up to, I adopted as truth, which is not. And so, yeah, I started doing a lot of my own personal healing work. I got my psychology degree at UC Berkeley and have always been wanting to understand the human condition. And so, even after college, I was starting to do deep work on myself. And throughout that process, it's actually what has enabled me, I think, to support others in their journey. I'm highly trained. So it's not just I read some books or I did a course and a coach, which is
right.
quite honestly very frustrating in this day and age with the rise of coaching, but the lack of skill and ethics inside of it. Because when I started back in 2007, I mean, people did value certifications, or at least training, right? Certifications doesn't mean you're qualified. Anyone can get certified. But to me, what it demonstrates is that you have a deep desire to cultivate a skill in order to support another when you do what you need to do in order to get certified, right? So
Yes.
just wanted to throw that out there. It's been a big talking point.
I understand why that's a button for you. I totally get it. I mean, you and I went to school for years, you know. So
Yeah.
we feel, you know, we don't want to feel slighted by someone getting a quick certification when we've done years and years of training. So I totally understand. My son asked me to go to Berkeley to apply to Berkeley, and I'm in Buffalo, New York, and
Uh,
and I'm like, "Honey, can you like stay on the East Coast for me, please?" I'm such a mean mom. I'm like, can you just stay on the East Coast? So then he's talking about what he wants to do. He's going to college next year. And I'm laughing as you're talking because I'm like, is that going to make you any money? Like, I better not ask that question anymore.
yeah. Yeah. I'm
Oh,
looking for something out there, and I don't know if this is valuable for the listener too, because when I first got the very first coach training I ever did, one of my instructors was teaching us, and he said, hey, when you're working with someone, don't ever put your own limitations on them. So, if they tell you, oh, I want to do this, don't go, oh, you really think you can do that? Or is that even possible? How?
right.
Because in our limited mind, we only see it in one way. And he said he had a client who told him he wanted to make a living decorating Christmas trees.
Cool.
Right? You think it's cool, but my instructor was like, in his head, he goes, decorate Christmas trees for a living? What are you talking about? But because he abided by the whole don't project your limitations on other people, encourage them and see how they figure out their own how, he goes, great. And through coaching him, his client ended up decorating celebrity homes during the holidays. And then when he had all that extra Christmas decorations during the summertime, he would rent it to production companies when they would shoot Christmas movies in the summer, and make money from just renting out his Christmas decorations
So
and
perfect.
rinse and repeat. And he became like a 7-figure entrepreneur. So, sometimes I think when we go, how are you going to make money off of that? They'll figure
Let,
it out. Maybe,
let
maybe.
them, let
Yeah.
them figure it out. I heard myself say it to my son. It was literally like 2 nights ago. And I was like, that wasn't supportive. Back up. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And
So,
sometimes it's very true. Can you really make money off of this? Because not everything is possible, but I love that you even caught yourself.
oh, I was like, I catch myself all the time. You know, I'm sure you can relate. It doesn't matter if you have taken all the courses, read all the books, gotten all the degrees, you still mess up and you still catch yourself,
Oh, yeah.
right? It doesn't matter.
100%. Yes.
So, people listening do not know what the rapid rewire method is. Can you
Mm.
tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, happy to. So actually how I came to the Rapid Rewire Method, now picking up on the story that I started, I had done so much deep work on myself. In 2007, got officially trained to work with people, realized that the subconscious is really where the change needs to happen, started diving into deeper alternative modalities that worked with the subconscious, like NLP, hypnosis, got into the body somatic experiencing, breath work, TRE, havening, EFT, you name it. And um, in February of 2021, I had a miscarriage. And
Mm.
I really, at the time, wanted to be a mama of my own biological child. I have 2 amazing stepkids, but it'd always been a dream of mine to be a mother. And so when I got pregnant with my partner and we were not trying, of course, I was like, this is meant to be, right? My little spirit child wants to come through. And then 9.5 weeks later, I miscarried. And I know how grief works, Rebecca. I know how it moves. I've experienced loss before, but this time, over time, I became less able to function throughout the day. Deep, dark depression, suicidal ideation,
Oh,
everything was triggering for me. And even with the tools I'd been trained in, I couldn't help myself out. Even with this amazing community of coaches and shamans and therapists and healers I had accumulated over since 2007 to 2021, it wasn't helping me at least loosen the grip of that deep grief. And I ended up through my medical doctor meeting my now co-founder, Wesley, who in literally one single session, he processed the trauma of the miscarriage, the emotional charge, that grief was drained, and I couldn't even feel sadness or grief in my body after that. And I remember looking at him and cussing at him because towards the last 6 years of my career, I worked with like the top 1%. I worked with very, very high profile people who you might know by their first name because I was known for creating rapid and lasting change. But when I experienced this process, I had no idea what it was and had never experienced that level of rapid relief in such a short amount of time and with lasting change.
Amazing.
By the end, I've never had to go back and reprocess pieces of it, or another trigger didn't emerge later. I haven't had to do consistent practices on the daily to cope or manage if the grief came. It was really when the integration occurred, it was done. And so that's when I was like, wait, what is this? And I started learning more tools, which are very simple. They're literally an easy to follow framework that works with the mind, the emotions, and the body, which is why they work so quickly and integratively. Because in the ways that a memory or an experience is stored mentally, emotionally, and somatically, we do the work on all those levels. And there's so many amazing modalities out there, trained in a lot of them, but some only work with one or two.
Right.
One, they don't really work on the whole being. And so when I started to experience such rapid and lasting change with these tools, I heard the divine command, you're meant to bring these tools into the world. And that's when I joined forces with Wesley. We launched the Rapid Rewire Method, and we've been teaching people these tools for the past 4 years. And it's been really exciting because since the tools are so easy, we've had a lot of coaches come through to enhance their toolkit. But we've had a lot of non-coaches come through too. And what's wild is some of them using our processes for the very first time have gotten better results than a lot of coaches I know because they have a framework to follow. And if you just move through it, you can actually support yourself or someone else or entire groups to achieve, life-changing outcomes, life-changing shifts in a very short amount of time, and ones that stick. So that's really what our tools do. And it's really exciting because I feel like this is what the world needs right now. I think the world is kind of on fire. There's lots going on, so much uncertainty, so much hate being spewed, wars, however you feel about the political climate, et cetera, AI emerging and people losing jobs and being freaked out. There's a lot of pressure on humaning at this time, and folks need support mentally and emotionally, and they need it quickly. I don't think people want to be talking about their problems or working through it for years. They need resolution fast. So that's what we do.
I mean, it sounds absolutely amazing. And I think that a huge piece that's missing that you're talking about is that we don't realize where it is in our body. Like you're using all of that stuff so we can talk for years, but if it's stuck, it's stuck inside of us and we need you. So, I'm curious what common blocks that you're seeing and how you're working on those with people because I'm sure there's themes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, I don't necessarily work with people directly anymore personally because we're a training company. We teach people the tools. If I get a referral from the past of these really high profile folks, I might take them on. But right now, I'm really building this company. However, a lot of our students come to office hour calls and they'll share some of the clients they're working with. And then if they get stuck, we'll give guidance on how to move them through. But we'll hear a lot of deep fear, whether it's, a lot of fear of being seen, because a lot of our students, whether they're working on themselves, self-processing, or with clients, they're entrepreneurs, they need visibility, and then they hold back when it comes to putting themselves out there. So that's a big one. A lot of feelings of relationship challenges. Sorry. Hopefully you can edit that out.
Oh, no
I'll
worries.
say it again. Another thing is a lot of relationship challenges, right? Folks who are leaving very unhealthy relationships, experiencing some abuse inside of them, needing to heal from that so that they can feel like they can trust other people again and be in and make better decisions to choose healthier partners.
Yeah.
A lot of folks who are struggling with money.
Yeah.
That's a big one right now. That is quite a huge theme, that folks are in such lack and scarcity and fear around finances. And then the core wounds, I mean, even when I worked with a lot of folks, when you just keep going layers below the, right, people will present with a particular problem and you go, what's
Hmm.
that though that's actually running it? And whether it's the core wounds of feeling not enough, unlovable, unworthy, not deserving, and even a lot of deep trauma from the past, childhood trauma, right? Those are, which then provide the core wounds that you live by.
Yeah.
That's, people are now more willing than ever to face off with themselves and their past, to dive into, excavate and clean up whatever the root cause is of the surface level problem they're presenting with. But a lot of folks, I think, endured a lot of pain from the past. So that's kind of what we're seeing, but it's all across the board, quite honestly, Rebecca. It's situational for folks who
Yeah.
present with different issues. Yeah.
Well, and I'm just curious for anyone, how do they know if something in their subconscious is holding them back? Like what can they look for?
Mm, you know, I think a lot of times if you're witnessing well, number one, start to just become more aware of your thoughts and your behaviors and your emotional states that you're constantly in, right? Some people they're not even paying attention. They're just so busy
True.
reacting to life and the world and
Hmm.
others. And they think that this is how it is, versus realizing that there is actually a center of control internally. And you'll start to be able to see where the limitations are, the disempowering patterns, the self-sabotage, if you just slow down and start to pay attention, right? And
That's true.
when you actually start to go, wow, I've just been really angry a lot, or I'm really sad, or man, I'm hypercritical in my mind. Of course, you can't feel good if your mind is always attacking you or you have intrusive thoughts. They're constantly keeping you down, right? Or if you can notice a limitation, if you're like, gosh, I keep telling myself I'm going to do X, but I'm not, right? What's holding you back there? There's got to be something. There's a secondary gain, right? To not do that thing. There's some probably protective mechanism underneath the surface that's holding you back from doing the thing that was created when you were younger, that served you then, but no longer serves you now. So if you start to pay attention to, gosh, every time I tell myself I'm going to do X and then I don't, that's one way, right? Starting to
Hmm.
pay attention to your emotional states that you're habitually in. Starting to observe the thoughts that are consistently running through your mind that you allow to be there, instead of standing guard of your mind to go, no, I'm not going to say those things about myself. No, I'm not going to tell myself I don't belong, or I'm unlovable, or I'm always going to have lack and scarcity, or what's wrong with me, or any of those things. So I think, again, number one is awareness. And then number two, checking the thoughts, witnessing the habituated emotions, and then also, where do you keep breaking your promises to yourself, where you say you're going to do something and then you're not? Or observing how reactive you can be to life, to things. Those are just some indicators, I think, as good starting points. There's a lot more places we can go, but I would say that those are good places to start.
Yeah, no, that was really helpful because I was going to ask you about the busy mom learning to rewire her brain. And what I'm hearing is if we just even slow down in our brain and pay attention to what we're thinking because we're moving so fast through the day.
Oh yeah, there's lots to do. Always. And when you're momming, oh my gosh, like hats off to mothers. We have our stepkids half the time, and I feel so extraordinarily blessed with them. And before we hit record, Rebecca, you and I were talking about summer right now. And we have my stepkids for the next 2 weeks, which I'm so grateful for and excited about. And being an entrepreneur myself, managing the kids, literally, as you and I were talking, my stepson just came up to my office and he was looking through the glass, and I had to put my hand out like this. Thought if you're actually watching, if you're able to see it on the recording, my hand is extended because he knows if I do this, then I'm on a Zoom or a call, that means, buddy, don't bother me.
Oh
But
my
if
goodness.
I look in his direction and he doesn't get the arm extension, then he knows that it's a more casual conversation that he can come and chat with. And I've had times where the kids are running behind my, calls, or, hot water just got spilled on a call this morning and screams happen. I'm like, ah, and they get
Yeah.
bored. And we're the type of parents, we don't want them on screens all summer long either.
Right, right.
And while they're independent enough to go do things on their own, I feel grateful that they're still at the stage of life that they still want to include us in their fun
Yes,
and
yes.
activities. And so finding that balance is like, it's wild. So parents who have your kids full time, I don't know how you do it. I've even said to myself at times, I'm like, how do you do this with kids? Like life, adult yourself while you're doing it, taking
It's
care of kids.
I know. I know. We all ask those questions though because I work around my kids' schedules and I'm like, how do when moms have to disappear or dads have to disappear, like my husband's gone from 8 to 6 today. I'm like, how do they do it if both of them are gone from 8 to 6? How do they do it? They
Yeah.
make it work.
Yeah, it gets done, right?
They make it work. Oh my goodness. I know we're all doing our best. And I think that what I was saying is I can get so enveloped in the chaos of the day that I'm not paying attention to how I'm talking to myself throughout the day. And that's not effective.
Mm-mm.
No.
Talking to yourself and even talking to others. I mean, look, I've
Yeah.
times too, Rebecca, when I'm in it. So one, paying attention to the emotion. Why am I so stressed out? Why am I so frustrated? And then if I'm not paying attention to that too, and regulating that or having tools and skills to do it, one, it makes life way harder to navigate on the daily. Two, you're a lot less resourced to figure
Hmm.
out how to problem solve throughout your day or to get
Right.
things done, to prioritize properly. And three, it comes out on the people you love.
Yes. Yes. And we don't want any of that.
We don't want any of that.
Mm-mm.
And, it's a lot harder, I think, to repair than it is to regulate. So if we just take the time to regulate ourselves, give it a beat, right? Start to pay attention to where you are mentally, emotionally, physically, take care of your needs, and then go serve others. Or if it's a deeper wound that's there that keeps surfacing and it keeps creating the same unhealthy, hurtful patterns with the people you love or inside your life or with yourself,
Mm,
work on it, clean it up so that it doesn't keep surfacing, right? And then now
absolutely.
we are better selves. We're not as reactive. We're now able to have a sense of control internally to regulate ourselves, to be more effective, to be more loving to ourselves and to others. Like it's key work to do instead of like, at the end of the day going, oh, I just made it through, or wow, how good I did. I'm proud of myself, right? Like, how do you want to feel at the end of the day? Too.
Ah, it's a great question. I love that question. I always say it makes me sad when I hear moms say, I'm just surviving through the day. I'm like, no, that's not the goal.
Not at all.
Not the goal. No.
Not.
So you blend neuroscience and energy work. I'm so fascinated. Can you talk about those two and combining them?
Well, here's what's interesting. When you said that, I'm like, where'd she get that bio? Because we don't know. I mean, look, we are energetic beings. So any sort of mental, emotional, spiritual work, physical even, that you're doing is energetic work on yourself.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
not that I do energy work like, Reiki or emotion code or those types of tools that are more energy focused. So that's why when you said that in my bio, I'm like, where did that come from? But we are
Who gave me the bio, Adrian?
that. But it is a way to, work on our energetic selves because we are a frequency, right? And do we want to be vibing at a higher frequency, more effective, more joyful, more fulfilled, or just surviving at this lower charge, right? And if you look at like the David Hawkins scale of energy or emotions too, he talks about that of where it's more effective and non-effective. And I'm not here to say like anger, sadness, grief, hurt, judgmental, worry are bad emotions, right? But it's when we reside in there for way too long that then
Yeah.
it's a hit on our quality of life. And we're not here to have a low quality of life or to just survive. And to me, when I hear survive, that's not quality of life. What are we here for, right? We don't just want to get through the day. We have this one shot at this precious life that we have. Make the most of it. And so that's what I would say. It's like, again, always encouraging people to take care of themselves and do the work. When we do the neuroscience stuff, there's a lot of how we understand the way that the brain works. We started doing brain mapping. So there's these machines where you can actually see where the trauma spots are on the brain. And by utilizing, our technology, our tools that we teach, you can start to see parts of the brain actually change, which is really huge.
Amazing. Oh
We're
my
literally
gosh.
doing a study right now with, we're partnered with Northwestern University and the University of Tennessee. It's a joint study with those two universities where we're validating what we already know. Sorry with my voice today.
Please don't worry. You're doing a lot of talking.
So we're validating what we already know, which is that our trauma integration tool works quickly, effectively, and with lasting change. So that's the one that was used on me with my miscarriage, right? So we're testing that particular tool. We teach a whole suite of tools, but that tool, we're going to have brain mapping on there as well. And we're working with firefighters as the population we're serving.
Wow. And they need it.
They need it, and
They need it.
still go into very traumatic environments all the time. So if we can help them to remove that, to continue to be more effective in their life, we can absolutely help folks who might have had challenging childhoods where they're carrying that trauma. So we can integrate that, and now it no longer bothers you anymore. And you don't have to take it out anymore on yourself or others, right? Once you integrate those parts. And so it's really exciting, the work that we're doing to help heal humanity, but also blend in the scientific parts of whether we're integrating studies, knowing how the brain functions, and then supporting others by using really cool technology to help them to transcend their limitations, their blocks, the stuck identities that keep making the decisions for them that they don't want to, rewiring limiting beliefs, and more.
I mean, you're doing absolutely amazing work, which I know you know, and I knew I was going to love talking to you. Is there any story? I know you're not working directly with the clients right now, but are there any stories that stick out to you that you were like, wow, like we transformed this person. This is amazing.
I mean, so many.
So many.
How much time do we have, Rebecca?
I know. I know. There might be too many to talk about.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, look, I'll throw out a couple of them that I've seen our students do. And this is what's so exciting. They're in a program with us for 4 months, and that what they're capable of doing. But we do exchange calls with our level 1, where when they're learning to build their skill, we have calls where they can come on, they get paired up with another student, and then they get to facilitate them with our tools and receive. Well, on one of the calls, and I can share that because it's on our social media, our students gave us the green light to share the story. But Susie had been struggling with an emotional eating disorder since she was 8 years old. And She is 57 now, and she has a circumstance in her life where it's triggering her emotional eating, where she goes, that's the only way I've felt joy. That's the only thing that brings her comfort. And during an exchange call, she got paired up with another student who was using one of our more simple tools for the very first time. She'd never practiced with it before. So she pulls it out, she just goes through it. And at the end of it, yeah, Susie was good. And she shared with us, this was about a month and a half into the 4-month training. She shared with us that that night she went to the grocery store, and she goes, it was so weird. I was in the organic fruits and vegetables section, and I don't usually shop there. She bought food there. She goes, the chip aisle was right next to it. I didn't even go look. And then later on, she shares, when we gathered another testimonial, she said, I was at this book event, and this woman had a booth, and she had a bowl of chocolates. And I remember I was talking to someone, I looked down and I had a piece of chocolate in my hand. And she goes, what's that? I don't want it. And put it back. She goes, old me would have been stuffing 5 in my pocket with 2 already in my mouth. She said that she only eats when she knows her body's hungry. She's been, caretaker of her mother. When she opens up the fridge door, she's like, oh, I grabbed the medicine and I wasn't even looking for food. And by the end of the 4 months, she reported that she'd already lost 20 pounds. One process. That's
Fabulous.
the first time, and then if we go extreme, we had a student who witnessed a death at a beach during our training. She was the first on site. This pro surfer hit his head on coral, was beached. She ran over with her boyfriend. They were trying to help him. First responders came, a crowd formed. And after that, when he passed, she told us that she couldn't go back to a beach, and she lives in Florida. It's hard to not go to a beach. She was having flashbacks of his deceased face, random panic anxiety attacks, and trouble sleeping. So we said, okay, we're going to help you. We're not going to just let you suffer. We used our trauma integration tool on her. It took 18 minutes. It's recorded, so we can show from start to finish 18 minutes, and she was fine. And then we always like to check our work. So we said, could you go back to the beach and Zoom with us? So later, she went back to the beach. She hopped on a Zoom. I hopped on a Zoom. We're recording this. She's walking. She goes, I'm back at the site of the accident. I see more beautiful details, like the sky is blue, or I see the trees. She was walking along the beach, and she ended up seeing a little memorial for the guy that someone had placed up. She goes, I feel nothing but peace and gratitude. And she goes, oh, I forgot to tell you, I'm going to take up surfing. And I went, wait, what? You just saw a pro surfer die. You're going to start surfing? That to us was the indicator we needed that she fully integrated, because she, even though she experienced such a traumatic event, she's still at choice. That's what integration is, right? Where you de-identify from the issue, you can look at the trigger, it no longer bothers you, and you're free to make any decision you want.
Sign me up. So seriously, how do we all sign up for this? Tell us. I mean, this is amazing.
Yeah, it's really extraordinary. So if you go to rapidrewiremethod.com, you can learn more about our work there. We have a tab if you're a practitioner. You can see to just build your tool set and become certified. We have a tab for self-mastery. If you're like, I'm not a coach, but I want to learn tools that I can use on myself, that's available for you as well. And if you are like, hey, let me just try it out first. If you go to our website, you go to the homepage, you scroll about halfway down, there's a spot to just get a free demo to experience it. And then Rebecca, if you want, I can just give you a link to download the free demo. So people don't even have to go to our website, or you can just explore more. But it's really exciting what these tools can do, because it's in a proven framework. You follow it, you'll get a result, and you can create freedom for yourself or someone else anytime, anywhere, with anything, without needing perfect conditions, right? I used to be a hypnotist, and I guess I should say I'm still one, but I don't practice anymore because these tools are way more effective. I'm in a loud airport. I'm at a restaurant in Austin with 2 of my best friends, and one of them struggling. The other one, who's been trained in it, she's not even a coach. She's multiple 7-figure e-commerce badass expert. And our friend was struggling at dinner. She's like, do you want me to rapid rewire you? And literally in this loud restaurant at a table, she helped our friend.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's
I
pretty cool.
I love this. I love what you're doing, and I'm really like so excited that we got to talk today. I hope that people listening will seek this out because I think this is just so helpful for anyone.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is. Look, if you're human, it's hard. I said this earlier. Humaning is not an easy task,
Mm-mm.
and yet it can be extraordinarily fulfilling. And if you play the game in the way that it's meant to, which is requiring you to grow and evolve, right, to get to those next levels, and you take on that challenge, that's when you can hit those levels of fulfillment, true joy, inner peace, no matter what is happening around you. And so many of us are so externally focused or calibrated, where it's like we're reacting to what's happening outside of us instead of being the one that is the A player that goes, no, I'm going to decide how it goes outside because I have the control inside. And you are actually utilizing that
I
instead of just
love it. I
practice.
love this so much.
Yeah.
I knew I would. And my husband is fantastic for sending you my way. I'm gonna go talk to him now. But seriously, cannot thank you enough for your time and your expertise today.
Thank you, Rebecca, for having me. And thank you for the work that you do too, and for supporting all the moms and beyond moms too, because I think work doesn't just impact them. So thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much. This is Rebecca Greene, and I want to remind everyone to spend every day laughing, learning, and loving.
No need to whine and whiny palooza. Have some wine and join us on the Whiny Palooza podcast with Rebecca Greene.
Welcome to the Whiny Palooza podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Greene. I'm a wife, mother of 3, and licensed clinical social worker. I also have 3 fur babies at home too. My passion has always been to help children and their families. I always dreamed of being a wife and a mother. Parents are always learning through their struggles, failures, and successes and joys. I am no stranger to this wild ride of parenting, and I know behind every great parent lies a team of supportive friends and family. I want to be part of your support system. I want you to know that you are not alone. We are in this parenting world together. Join me every week for insightful discussions with experts on parenting and marriage, as well as other parents who have found the secret to successes in parenthood. You'll learn tips and tricks to make life with your family better than ever. I hope you will follow along with me while we dive into what it takes to achieve a happy family.